For this assignment, the instructions read, draw each of the following forms on your paper. Choose a light source for each. Draw a kindergarten sun for the light source location. Color each shape a different main color. Using the warm, cool, complement, and black and white to help with showing light and shadow. So we go to our paper. Hopefully, I'm going to draw dark, hoping that you can actually see my lines. Sometimes you can't. But I'm going to start with the circle that's going to become a sphere. So the circle is like so, and then it has a ring that kind of goes around it like so, and finishes around here, okay? So I've decided to make the base color for mine yellow-green, because I actually have a yellow-green colored pencil. And then I want to use, to warm it up, I'm going to use yellow. To cool it down, I'm going to use a real green. I can also use black and white for highlights. The first thing I need to do is assign a light source. So I think for my light source, I'm going to have it coming from over here. So there's my kindergarten sun, showing where the light's coming from. And I'm going to start by erasing these lines. And so that's mostly gone. Now, where the light is, where the light would be hitting, I'm going to lightly put just a little bit of white. You really can't see it right now, but you will in a little. And then I'm going to use my warm color, which is yellow, to go over the white just a little bit. Now I'm going to color the base, which is going to be yellow-green. And I'm using circular motions to color, just because that's my preference. Your preference might be a different motion. I just find this blends better. So that's my first layer of yellow-green. I'm going to do another layer. And as I move away from this light source, I'm going to press down a little harder with my yellow-green. I'm also going to start working on the darker green, or a true green, to cool it down. So where a shadow might be on the actual ball itself. So opposite of the light source, I'm including my traditional true green. And I feel like I need to go even darker. So I could even put some blue in if I want. Or I could jump straight to a black. I'm going to try the blue first and see if I like it. Oh, and I do. Now, if there's a light hitting a ball here, there's bound to be a shadow here. So I'm going to draw a shadow, which is going to mimic the shape, since the light's coming this way. And the shadow is all going to be one solid value or tone. It's not going to get darker. It's not going to get lighter. It's all going to be one value or tone. And so that's how we would do our ball. I could still come back and add some more green just to emphasize that light. If I wanted to, I could even put just a little bit of black onto the ball to help with the lighting as well. If I wanted to make the color stronger, I could come back in with the original yellow green. And I'm going to play around with it until I find that I like it. Okay. The next shape or form that we're doing is a cone. This is kind of like a dunce hat or a clown hat or an upside down ice cream cone. So like a triangle, but rounded at the bottom. And so on this one, I'm going to do blue. I'm going to use the sky blue to start. And oops, I forgot a light source. I'm going to keep this light source, but it's going to be over here. So now the light source for the cone is going to be here. So I'm going to go back in very quickly and put a little white in on that area. Then I'm going to color the base in blue. I'm going right over that white. And then the further away I get from the light source, the darker I need. So I could add in blue, purple, possibly even green to use those cool colors to add in some shadow. Also, towards the bottom, because the sun's coming from the top. I like to make a nice crisp line. And I don't want to leave lines here, so I want to make sure those blend in. So I'm working with my blue and my light blue right now. And then, of course, the sun is going to create a cast shadow. And it's coming from this way. So my shadow might be something like that. So again, the shadows are flat. They're all one solid tone or value. They don't get lighter and darker, and they don't change in value. Unless there were multiple light sources, and then they would. And again, if I wanted to, I could add some black onto the actual shape and then go back and layer in some blue on top of it to blend it. And there we have our cone. Next, we have the cube. And I'm just going to go down a little. So for our cube, we start more or less with a square, but it's angled. So these lines are all vertical. These are diagonal. And then this matches this like a parallel. This matches this parallel until they meet. And that's our cube. Okay. Now, the base color that I have for that is going to be orange. I'm going to do a light source directly above this guy. So there's my kindergarten sun. And so I know that if I'm using orange, that yellow would be a warm, red would oddly enough be a cool. So that would help to cool it down, or I can use the complement, which is blue. So I'm going to start with white at my light source, add in a little yellow, follow that up with some orange, and orange is going to be the body of my cube. So most of my cube is going to get a treatment of orange, a coat of orange, a layer of orange. Or two, or three. I'm going very light, so I'm doing multiple layers. Okay. Then for if the sun is hitting here, then these areas would be darker. So I'm going to add a little red orange in here, just to give some richness to that color. And a little red in here. I'm going to use the complement this time to kind of neutralize. So the complement of orange is blue, like auburn. So I'm going to use my complement opposite of where the sun is. And then I'm going to go back in with my orange and blend that back together because I don't want a blue square. I wanted an orange square, or cube rather. So I've got some blue in, and now I'm coming back with my orange. I'm going to press down pretty hard so that it'll all blend together. And then, of course, we'll have a shadow below. This one, the sun's almost directly on top of it, so we may not have much of a shadow, but we will have some. Use the black here as well. And again, I'll make my shadow solid. All one value, all one tone. I'm going to come back and make these lines a little sharper. Oops. And that's our cube. Okay, last shape is going to be the cylinder. I'm going to start with an ellipse, which is kind of a squished up oval. 2 vertical sides and the bottom half of the squished up oval. I want it to be the same. I don't want to scoot way down here. That wouldn't make sense. I want this to be parallel to this. Okay, and now I need to choose a light source. I'm going to choose over here so that the light's kind of hitting there. And this time I'm going to use purple. So I'm going to start with white for my light source. So my white's going to be along here. And then I'm going to do the body of my cylinder with a purple. And I'm going to layer. And the further I move away from the sun, the darker we get. So now I can add in blues, I could add in black, I could add in red, anything close to this guy on the color wheel. I think I'm going to start with the light blue towards my light source. Dark blue away from my light source. And then more layers of purple to finish off. I could also warm it up with yellow, which is the complement. So if I wanted to put a light coat of yellow, I can do that as well to somewhat warm up the color. Cooled it down with blue, warm it up with yellow. I want to put a little bit of black in here to make it more rounded. I can. And obviously my shadow. And that's our last shape.